Good evening. How are ya? Isn't it so good to be out? They finally let us out. Yay! Welcome to Moore College of Art and Design. I'm Cecilia Fitzgibbon, honored to be serving my last year as president of this remarkable institution, and I am so delighted to see you here. So, you know how in the movies they say, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain? Well, actually, behind this curtain, we are developing our brand new facility for our film program, our media and film program. And the film program is designed to place women and non-binary students in roles behind the camera and at the editing desk. We are very excited to be continuing our role in the creative industries to put women into work in creative and wonderful opportunities and careers. So do pay attention to the man behind the curtain. Anyway, you know that, of course, Moore has had this very lengthy history. Sarah Worthington Peter founded Moore in 1848. So that means this is our second pandemic. To provide we do career-focused visual arts education that at that time allowed women to achieve financial independence during the Industrial Revolution. Things haven't changed much, have they? And of course, it was quite progressive for those times. And that's what we keep doing, keep being progressive. So today's Moore's founding mission of empowering women by developing their artistic ability, their leadership capacity, and marketable skills remains relevant. Our alumni are the artists, designers, educators, entrepreneurs, and business people whose work makes our lives better and whose skills power the global creative industries. Many of you work in those industries, and for that connection, we are very grateful. Tonight, you're here to help us celebrate, because as we say, the world needs more. I fought using the word more for a long time, but it seemed to work in this case. You're here to help us fund scholarships for our most academically gifted, artistically talented students, our visionary women honors students, and I hope that you got a chance to meet some of them at the reception. They're remarkable. Every year, each of them receive a scholarship of $25,000, and we make a 4-year commitment to them. And many of them would not or could not be here without your support. Your contribution tells students, we believe in you and your power to make a difference, and we do. So thank you for your belief in them. They couldn't, and we couldn't do it without you. This academic year has already been marked by so many successes. We launched our film and digital cinema, I never get titles right, major to address the lack of representation of women and non-binary artists in the film and video industries. We are happy to welcome Chief Academic Officer Lynn Tomaszewski, who is here to guide the academic development, curricular development, along with her partners, the faculty. In fact, Lynn has been here 5 months, and you know a good job when you see one, because it feels like a moment and a lifetime all at once. So welcome, Lynn, wherever you are. Most importantly, we welcomed our students back to campus full-time. They were here last year. We were all here last year. But their energy is palpable. Did you feel it? And inspiring. This year, we admitted the largest, most diverse class of Visionary Woman Honors students ever. Indeed, 42% of our first-year class are Visionary Woman Honors scholars. 42%. I am so proud of them. And by the way, that's part of an overall strategy to advance the recognition of the college. So it's in the literature. You do two things. You attract the best students and you attract the best faculty. And they will carry the word that Moore is a place to be recognized and an important place in the world of the creative industries. And we believe it. So before the celebration begins, I'd like to take a moment to recognize someone very near and very dear to me, Penny or Penelope P. Wilson. Penny's involvement with Moore stretched over an astonishing 47 years as a member of the Board of Managers and then the Board of Trustees. Her philanthropy included landmark gifts that have transformed our college and our physical. She said to me, Cecilia, how's that HVAC system doing? And I took her once to a restaurant and there were more waiters and more people in the kitchen than there were clients. And she looked around from a wheelchair and she said to me, do you think this business model is going to work? I'm telling you what, I miss Penny Wilson. Anyway, Penny passed away in February, and we want to remember her as an extraordinary philanthropist, a volunteer, and the friend that she was. So we miss you, Penny. And now we move forward. Tonight, we are thrilled to honor 3 women who have demonstrated outstanding achievement in art and design and advocacy. Our 2021 Visionary Woman awardees, Laureen Carey. Yeah, Laureen, yeah. Joan Shepp. And Howardena Pindell, all 3 Philadelphians. They joined 39 previous honorees, some of whom are here tonight. Would Barbara Eberlein, Helen Drutt English, and Signe Wilson stand, or at least wave hello and be recognized? Also, I believe that former honoree Jill Bonifitz is joining us virtually. And by the way, we're broadcasting this. There are people sitting in the comfort of their homes. They didn't even have to get dressed up, but they care enough about the college. Laureen, Joan, and Howardena are powerful role models. Please enjoy this video celebration of their work and their accomplishments. And at the end, you're allowed to clap. Artists and designers help us see ourselves, help us reflect on what is good and what needs work in society. The Visionary Woman Award was established to generate funds for scholarships and also to honor women who could be role models for the students. Howardena Pindell is a treasure. Howardena's art focuses on contemporary issues that are very important, but all based on her personal experience. And the people who are looking at them should reflect on what's happening in society.
I felt fulfilled as an artist. It's just something that was like my breath, like I was doing the right thing. I was very entranced by the motion and the aspect of drawing. Experiencing some of the things that I find tragic, I've often been able to, have it come from me into a visual realm. And so I started thinking that it was time to start expressing what I felt and what my opinions were.
One of the students filed a complaint, perhaps to a parent who did not know that I was Black.
Learning through Howardena's work, I can learn how to meld my advocacy work into something that more effectively will be able to uplift those around me. She works a lot speaking about her experiences as a Black artist growing up during segregation. I know as a white woman that my work with advocacy is mainly to raise up those around me who have personal experiences to tell.
How did you come to find your style as an artist? And how did you know once you were settled into it?
It was a long process because I started off as figurative and then it gradually became abstract. And I became aware that I couldn't move, I couldn't evolve, not because of figuration, but just because of my working circumstances. And the thing that I would say was the turning point was my becoming obsessed with the circle. Now, what started to happen with the circle was that my father liked root beer. So we went to an outside root beer stand and we were served chilled glasses just like everybody else, but they had a giant red circle. And I asked my father, what does that mean? And he said, oh, it means this is glassware for people of color. So that's kind of stuck in my mind, and it's so much a kind of iconic image for me that it shows up everywhere.
Being here at Moore, I realized that for me, it's less about finding a style and more about my process as an artist. I think that almost meditative work really allows you to connect with the work.
It's like you venerated him as a figure, and that circle is like a halo. And when I look at your piece, I'm saying, oh my God, she's punching holes, which I love to do. For future generations, I say, do not give up. I see art as healing, comforting, and informative. Everyone is different and has a different story to tell. You are identified by your signature and your fingerprint. No one else is like you. Do not give up.
Joan Shepp has been an icon in the fashion industry in the city of Philadelphia. She's very, very invested in developing new and emerging designers. And of course, that's exactly what our students have to offer. They learn how to create and how to bring to market. She is the market.
I love what I do. You have to like what you do. I started in 1971. My first shop was in Lafayette Hills. We started small. What really helped us over the years was I wanted to look different. I wanted to be different so that all the stores were not carrying the same thing.
I really admire her business style, and I really admire her store in general, and definitely the different styles that she curates at her store I think is really interesting. She's very much a well-known Philly fashion name, and I think that is so inspirational.
How did you curate your aesthetic and you curate your store?
As times changed, we changed too. Each season, we did something else. We painted, or we changed it, or we moved things around. It was always exciting, fresh flowers, everything to soothe the people that came in.
Business is a part of life, and as an artist, you're like continuously selling yourself and you're continuously selling your product. So whether or not I open a business, it is important to like sell yourself.
So are you doing your creations or you're doing what they're teaching you?
So they'll just give us like prompts, like one-word prompts, like they'll be like ready to wear, and then you make a collection. So everything is really like totally yours and totally like what you want to do.
This is great.
Thank you. I would definitely want to mimic like the longevity in her career and how she's been able to create such a name for herself. I think that's really inspirational and something like I want to strive for. Yeah.
You want to keep learning. 50 years in business, I'm still learning. It's the only way.
Laureen Carey is an institution in Philadelphia, and therefore very important that we should recognize her work as a writer, a playwright, and an arts advocate. Ms. Carey can be the source of inspiration for our students to teach them that it's not good enough to do the work in your studio if you're not carrying it out to the community.
Come on, boy. Best repair, today gets a pie. King would say crazy stuff like that. Like, no, I ain't joking, custard pie. I'm making my damn self. Second peach bow down in a month. Isn't it? Come on, boys. What's she need? What's this tree need? She's talking to you in tree. What's she saying? I've always loved stories. I've always loved hearing them, thinking about them, putting a little video that would start in my mind, seeing it over and over again. I realized that my job was to feel, to imagine, and to tell the stories that I couldn't stop thinking about.
I think what I enjoy the most about writing and language is being able to express your thoughts openly to others and how you communicate that. I've always found like writing and language really impressive because I think it's hard to communicate your thoughts verbally. If I can't communicate something a certain way, how does my writing do that differently?
Yeah, I do the Black experience. Why not? Because the Black experience is a human experience. It's beautiful. It's tragic. It's gorgeous. And by the way, it hasn't been overdone.
What motivates her to write and pursue her work and share what she's experienced with people is looking at how she's processed things and experienced things in her own life.
Vulnerability? Do you guys talk about that in more?
A lot of people go into not knowing how to talk about vulnerability and like through the process of, communicating to each other with their own work and what we do, we almost kind of create this like silent conversation about like how to talk about vulnerability.
What I'm always trying to figure out is how to talk to young artists about allowing yourself to be honest, and that honesty will in fact come through as vulnerability because it's really pure. The stories I tell need to be told. We don't have enough of them. We as Americans need all our stories. Otherwise, we blunder again and again and again in our ignorance because we don't know who we are. And we are Black, we are Native, we are Hawaiian, we are women. That's who we are.
The Visionary Woman Award is a thread that connects all three of these wonderful, creative people and recognizes their impact on their art form as well as on the young people who attend more.
It's really important to honor women for their achievements, and it really pushes me forward and know that I can, achieve something great.
I am honored to be part of giving the students an opportunity to get a great education.
It's our donors that allow many students like me to be able to go here to Moore. And Moore is really creating a force of creatives that will go out there and really make change in the world.
Providing scholarships is a wonderful thing. COVID has put on hold many people's hopes and dreams. They know you are still out there for them, which is very important, that you not go away, that you be there for them.
Since the program is the largest scholarship that each student can receive at Moore, it is really the difference between whether a student comes here, whether a student doesn't come here, right?
One of the reasons I'm here is because there were scholarships all the way along the way. Moore's commitment to helping these artists, bravi, 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 I say, because we need everyone's creativity. We need everyone's power.
My greatest hope for the Visionary Woman Honors Program is that it continues and grows in its attraction of highly talented students and provides those students who are worthy to come to college, to change their life, and ultimately to change society because they have the power to do it. Tonight's celebration is made possible by the work and generosity of many people, especially the members of our Visionary Woman Honors Awards Committee, led by the fabulous Meg Johnson, who I would like to invite to. Oh, I'm here. Hi, Meg.
Hi, honey.
Good to see you. Here you are.
Yeah,
Thank
we
you
did it differently this year.
Wow, that was fast. Yeah. It's magic. There you go.
So, hi. We did it a little differently this year, as you noticed. Outside was different, in here is different, and I came from backstage this year. So, thank you, Cecilia. On behalf of Moore and the Visionary Woman Awards Committee, I am endlessly grateful to all of you for being here tonight, including those who are not spanked up and on their couches. This evening is a shared success for sure. So would the members of the Visionary Woman Awards Committee please stand? I see you, wave, stand, whatever. Thank you, thank you. You know, we say about Moore all the time that we are small but mighty, and the Visionary Woman Awards Committee is small but mighty. Our honorees this evening each receive a beautiful award designed by independent glass artist Anna Booth, and they're at the other end of the stage. When the lights come up, you'll be able to see them. So let's make the awards officially official and allow their admirers to pay tribute to Lorene, Joan, and Howardena. Signe Wilkinson, who received Moore's Visionary Woman Award in 2011, was the editorial cartoonist for the Philadelphia Daily News since 1985, and recently for the Philadelphia Inquirer, and one of my absolute favorites on Instagram, so please do follow her. In fact, Signe's 1995 cartoon, which I call The Umbrella, has recently had an online renaissance, so you should all check it out and realize how visionary we were to give her an award in 2011 for a 1995 cartoon that we still are looking at today. Signe is the first female cartoonist to win the Pulitzer Prize for editorial cartooning. She's also won 4 Overseas Press Club Awards and 2 Robert F. Kennedy Journalism Awards for cartooning, among many others. She allegedly retired from cartooning earlier this year, although again, Instagram says differently, and says she is suffering from withdrawal symptoms, but she says a night with the Visionary Woman recipients and the student scholars always cheers her up. So please, Signe, will you join Lorraine on stage? Hey, Signe, I need to put you over here.
I get to introduce.
Yes, you do.
And then I go sit down. Well, her introduction of me is longer than mine for Lorene, so I'm already embarrassed. But Laureen Carey, you know, the author of 2 brilliant memoirs, Black Ice and Lady Sitting, and the novels including The Price of a Child, Philadelphia's first one book, one Philadelphia. Lorene Cary, the playwright whose My General Tubman premiered at the Arden moments before the pandemic shut everything down. Lorene Cary, the opera librettist of The Gospel According to Dena. The 2020 organizer of Young People in Vote That John. The U of P writing professor. The former member of the now defunct School Reform Commission, a volunteer job that almost did her in. And let us not forget the founder of Art Sanctuary, which brings together Philadelphians through the community building power of Black art. Lorene Cary is an artist and a citizen. I'm also glad to introduce Lorene's feisty mother, Mrs. Carol J. Cary, who first knew the sex of her second child, what the sex of her second child would be, when Laureen told her, "God told me it's a girl," and it was. Also with us in spirit are her daughters, Zoe and Laura, and her beloved husband, Bob Smith. Laureen writes that she founded Art Sanctuary because, quote, "Art has been my sanctuary, and sanctuary must be shared, and because art's excellence rises out of the inner city and ought to cycle through it. Their presence among us heals." We need our artists, thinkers, prophets, and seers. Their presence among us heals, like using our own blood for a transfusion of wisdom and hope. Lorene Cary is a visionary woman.
Thank you, Signe. Thank you, Moore College. This is where I had my first reading for my first book. It was just outside in that gallery. It was an amazing honor to be here. Then it has been to work with Art Sanctuary, with Safe Kids Stories, with Vote That John. One of the amazing things about this small but mighty place is that when you say, "Here's a new crazy thing, what do you think, y'all?" And they say, "That's what we do. We do creative, we do new, we do fresh, we do exciting." With open arms. And they do risk. Let's try this. They don't say, "Are you sure it's going to succeed?" Because that's not art. Art is taking the risk. And there aren't many safe places for risk in this world. Thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you, Lorene. We are so grateful to be here for your return to Moore tonight. After attending the University of Pennsylvania, John Wynne won a scholarship to study at the Slade School of Fine Art in London, where he began making jewelry. And before he knew it, he was showing at London Fashion Week, selling to the Thompson twins in the 80s, and being featured in British Vogue. In 1985, he returned to Philadelphia and created his jewelry business, Maximal Art. Over the course of his nearly 40-year career, he has flirted with all kinds of aesthetics, from the statement pieces of his jewelry watch line in the 80s to the distinctive Victorian vibes that defined his collection in the 90s. John's wearable treasures are part of the permanent collections of the Victoria and Albert Museum in London, the Museum of Decorative Arts in Paris, and the Philadelphia Museum of Art. John and Joan, please join me on stage.
Hello, thank you. As the accolades started coming in for celebrating Joan Shepp's 50 years in business, Joan said to me one day, you know, you just do what you do long enough and they start calling you a legend. Well, not everybody. And it's good. It takes doing something that means something, that impacts people. And Joan, your impact on me started the day we met in 1984 in London. You were there on a buying trip. I had just started making jewelry. And by the time you flew home a week later, you had a shoebox of John Wynne brooches sitting on your lap on that plane. A year later, when I came back to Philadelphia, we continued our business relationship and we became fast friends. And that relationship has just deepened over the last 35, now I understand, almost 40 years. Joan Shepp is all about creativity. It's your adrenaline, it's what makes you tick, it's how you see the world. Joan Shepp is also all about empowerment and how our clothes make us feel stronger, make us feel cooler, make us feel bolder, and bring out the creativity in us. In a career based on trends, fast trends, another thing that I always admired about you is that you really understand what the things that are meant to last. And that really is about friends, your family, your fashion family, and your family, your family of family. What's the term? Your daughters, Ellen and Susan, your grandchildren, your extended family. And I'm here today on behalf of all of those family and friends to say that, Joan, congratulations, you really are a legend.
I love you. There really isn't much more to say. Thank you, John. Thank you for the introduction, and I feel like we experienced growing up together and making mistakes and making jewelry, and it was always exciting. Every season was exciting. Thank you for that. And it's been, I can't even imagine how many years, because I never realized what 50 years was. So it was a long time. And I want to thank Moore for the amazing opportunity to come for honoring me, and for the opportunity to come and see what you've done since the last time I was here. And Emerald John, who is in the audience, helped me take care of and mentor some different students. And it was a surprise when I came here, and everything that they've done and how they helped us and helped my store to present when I first walked in and saw all the clothes that were 5 or 10 years. It was really amazing, and I just felt so strong, I guess it is, that I was one of the people that they were honoring. And it was a group effort that we did this in Moore, and all the people that came, my family from the store, and my sister, and the kids, and I'm really surprised. And Sana, who's been there, is probably over 40 years, and Elaine, and Tuesday, it's like, it's an honor. It's a serious honor, and I really appreciate it. The one thing that really brought me together was having passion from the day I opened and learning more and more as the years went by. It's like the excitement and the adrenaline when you first see. I forgot to thank my daughter, Ellen, who is my partner. Better late than never. Where was I? Right, thank you. The adrenaline and the excitement of the fashion industry kept me going for, I didn't even realize it was 50 years. It's exciting, and sometimes it's hard, and sometimes it's just like getting an award tonight. Thank you very much to Maura.
Yeah. I do want to mention that we learned at lunch today from Joan that the young fashion student that you saw in the video, Tara, was invited there to participate in the video and has since been hired by Joan, and she works in the store. So thank you for all of that, Joan. If I were to introduce Agnes Gund in a detailed way about her boundless philanthropy and her collector's influence on the art world, it would take up the rest of the night. So briefly, Ms. Gund is the President Emerita of the Museum of Modern Art and the chair of its International Council. She is also Chair Emerita of MoMA PS1. Ms. Gund is founder and Chair Emerita of Studio in a School, a nonprofit she established in response to budget cuts that virtually eliminated arts classes from New York public schools. She serves on the boards of the Cleveland Museum of Art, the Foundation for Art and Preservation in Embassies, and the Morgan Library and Museum. She's the co-founder and Chair Emerita of the Center for Curatorial Leadership, Trustee Emerita of the Barnes Foundation, and Young Arts. Agnes Gund and Howardena Pindell could not be with us in person tonight, but they are joining us by video.
I am so honored to be asked to introduce Howardena Pindell. She is a brilliant artist, activist, professor, and curator whom I have long admired and who I wish I got to know better on a personal level. We overlapped for a few years at the Museum of Modern Art in the late 1970s. Before that, I had been on the Painting and Sculpture Committee. In 1967, after graduating from Boston University and Yale University, studying figurative painting, Howardena accepted a job at the Department of Prints and Illustrated Books at MoMA. I became a trustee in 1976, when Howardena had already been in the museum for 9 years. She was the museum's first Black curator. It was at MoMA where she met one of her mentors, Lucy Lepard, while working in the International and National Circulating Exhibitions Department. Howardena has credited Lepard with mentoring her in the women's movement. She created a now well-known video piece currently in the MoMA collection entitled Free, White, and 21. Video is just one component of Howardena's brilliant oeuvre. Although she began as a painter, she pushes the boundaries of color, texture, and structure and produces a wide array of drawings, collages, photographs, mixed media, and sewn composition on canvas. She is a prolific artist who has been creating art for more than 60 years, and her work is much about the process of making art as it is about addressing the intersection issues of feminism, racism, power struggles, and exploitation. It is my great honor to introduce Howardena Pindell. Thank you.
Thank you for the recognition. I cherish the award. My basic education in the arts was in Philadelphia, where I grew up. At the time, I was a figurative painter and started to move to abstraction after graduating from Yale University School of Art and Architecture. I now mix the two. Thank you, Moore College, for your wonderful, much appreciated recognition.
I wish I could be like you, Meg, and just apparate. You are both fabulous. Thank you so much for being here. How about another round of applause? And thank you, Meg. Laureen, Joan, and Howardena are so deserving of our 2021 Visionary Woman Award. The Galleries of Moore are pleased to honor them during this fall's exhibition season. So if you don't feel as if you got to see the work, come on back. You're always welcome at Moore. And now it's my pleasure to introduce the portion of the program that allows us to get to know these distinguished creators even better. Our roundtable discussion, or our long chair discussion, will be moderated by the fabulous Tracy Matisak. Tracy is an award-winning journalist. Many of you know her from her career at Fox 29 and WHYY. She's also hosted high-profile conversations with business leaders, artists, and authors on the web and at the Free Library of Philadelphia. She is the perfect person to help us gain an insight into our wonderful honorees. And I must say that Tracy has been a marvelous partner and part of the Moore family for a while. So I'm very happy to welcome you in person, Tracy, back. Come on up.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Fitzgibbon. Good evening, everyone. It is a delight to be here at the gala and to see all of you in person again. Just wonderful. So thank you all for being here tonight. I want to begin by extending my heartfelt congratulations to our honorees, to Howardena Pindell, who is joining us virtually, to Joan Shepp and Laureen Carey. Congratulations. I think that you would be hard-pressed to find three more visionary women than the ones that we are honoring tonight. So it's a thrill to be here. Before we begin, I do want to just underscore what others have said, and that is to say thank you to all the donors who support Moore College, because you are providing extraordinary opportunities for the creative leaders of tomorrow, including opportunities like this, giving them access to the creative leaders of today. So thank you for your support of the school and of the artists and creative minds of tomorrow. That said, why don't we jump into our conversation? Laureen Carey, I'll begin with you. You said in the video that you always loved stories, and that at some point in your life you realized that your job was to feel, to imagine, to tell the stories that you couldn't stop thinking about. And I wonder where your love of stories began and how it was nurtured.
I think my love of stories began in my family. I mean, we talk a lot about my great-grandfather, my mom's grandfather from Barbados, who would tell stories, who had me memorize poetry. Some of it is like poetry from the 19th century from England that was taught to people in Barbados. So, it's not all great poetry, but it was mine own because he had me memorize it. He told folk tales. There was Bible, and then there was. I think I was also trying to make sense of what I didn't understand. So I was trying to make sense of images that I saw on our television of the war in Vietnam, trying to make sense of the fact that it seemed like the whole grown-up world had lost its damn mind, right? Malcolm, Martin, John Kennedy, RFK, gang war, I needed to make sense of that. When I was 11, my mother found me and made me take back to the library a copy of The Rise and Fall of the Third Reich. I was trying to understand evil. And I was understanding that evil wasn't only just black and white. Evil was, I needed to understand it. So, stories did it.
Can you talk a little bit about your creative process as well when you're setting about to write a novel or a play for that matter?
But to chair.
Simple as that.
But to chair. Actually now because the hip is, it's like often it's standing up on the kitchen.
Gotcha.
You stand up. It's a regular practice. You make it a practice. You do it. You learn it. You figure it out. Every time during the adult life, for me, I've had to change according to other responsibilities. So the writing is this water, and it has to sort of go around whatever's here, right? It has to go around family and children and other work. And okay, maybe you're not selling anything. Maybe it's not making any demo. Well, there you go, so doing teaching, and then you need to get benefits, and then you need to, you have to work around. So then your husband decides he's going to go to seminary because God does have a sense of humor. Really? I married the most irreverent old white guy I could find, and he went to seminary? Woo! So you write around that, you write around churches and Sunday school. You write around dogs crapping on the floor. I mean, you just write around all of it.
You just keep it moving. Yeah. Joan Shepp, what drew you into the world of fashion and particularly to being an entrepreneur in the world of fashion?
Well, I didn't start out like that. I was excited to do something and do something that had to do with fashion. And the creativity of it and how I started was redoing furniture. And I wanted things in the shop, so I redid the furniture and the display things and the things that we used. I only had one small room, so you can't put too much in there. So we started out with accessories, and then for I think a season or two. And the sign outside said Fashion Eye, and they thought I sold eyeglasses. Okay, so I sell eyeglasses and accessories and things like that. And then we grew another room and things like that. And we just kept growing and having people that really liked being there.
So speaking of eyes, how did you develop your eye for fashion and that sense that you have for knowing what's going to sell and what people are going to like? Is that something, was it just innate in you? Was it something that you developed? How did you come by that?
People. I met a lot of people that gave me the opportunity, and I sucked everything in that they said and did, and people that I thought would never have a conversation with me because they have tons of stores or they have Saks Fifth Avenue, things like that. And that's how I learned, by asking questions and getting answers, and that made me think even more. And then I would go on to the next step and the next step, and something in my brain just kept going and going. And that's how I learned all those things. And as far as what people wear, and I also have a group that listens, and we have relationships, which for all these years, each person that's worked with me has relationships that we can ask, what, do you feel comfortable in a long skirt or a short skirt or things like that? And you just keep the knowledge, and you keep asking the clients how we grow. And I always wanted to do something different.
Lorene, you talked in the video you talked with one of the students about vulnerability. And when you said that, I was thinking about your book, Lady Sitting. My Year with Nana at the End of Her Century, and it's about the sort of complicated relationship with your grandmother and your experience of caring for her at the end of her life. And I wonder if you would say a little bit more about the idea of vulnerability in your work, particularly in the context of writing about your family.
No. No, I'm sorry. It's very hard to speak about vulnerability. So I always flip to honesty, right? Because I think that's something one can go at. Like you can go at writing honestly. You know when there's a little, when you're protecting yourself. You know when you haven't scooped it enough. So that you can go at. And I think people recognize honesty. I think we're hungry for honesty. People recognize the honesty. And when you have finally been honest, then part of what you do will be vulnerable, right? But I think the honesty is an aesthetic quality for which you can aim and that you can test. When I remember writing, am I doing something bad with the necklace? All right, you're staying real still, so the necklace. When I was writing that, an editor helps a lot with that. And I think even if people are going to self-publish, or even if they're going to put stuff up on their own blogs, it's really important to get a good reader. It's important to get a reader who knows you, knows your blind spots, and knows other work. Because editors will say to you, as my editor said to me, there's this hole in the book you haven't talked about this, and you should. And of course, I didn't write about whatever I didn't feel comfortable writing about. So then she pushed me and out of my comfort zone, and it was what I needed to do.
Joan, you talked about the idea of constant change in the video and in the fashion world, and you said that as time changed, that you and the business changed along with it, and you just mentioned the idea of constantly learning, constantly asking questions. Certainly, COVID has brought unprecedented change, and particularly in the retail world. You know, we've seen e-commerce just skyrocket of necessity because of the pandemic. And I wonder, for someone like you who offers both the in-person boutique shopping experience as well as the online experience. How are you continuing to adapt to the changes in the way that we shop, and what kind of creativity do you think that it will take to continue to be successful in the in-person boutique shopping space?
Well, they say that it's not going to last forever. And maybe that's true. But there is nothing like a personal, I can't think of the word, but a personal, at any rate, we'll skip on that. But I think you don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. And you don't know whether you're going to be financially want to shop. And that was a lot of when we went through, and you had to stay in your house and be home by 6 o'clock. So you want to make it something that is inventive. So we just add something else. We add antique clothes, and we have people come and visit, and things that people might want to come, and they might keep their masks on, but they want to see something new. They want to keep their brain working, and they want to look good. So they come, and they, like now, I'm not sure where everyone's going, but they want dressy clothes. So, okay, so if you're not going to a wedding or something, it's an education for me too. Like, where are you wearing all these? And I'm running out, and Ellen's going in this direction, I'm going this direction, and we're going to have dressy clothes if you want to get dressed. But by the time we get the clothes in, you have to change. So we add different things. We have perfume, and we have fun things that take away the seriousness of what people are going through and the riots and things like that. So we want everyone to have a good time, and we're not talking about selling something. We're talking about friendship, and we're talking about, are you all right? Or if you're in the hospital, God forbid, for something, where are you? Can we send you flowers? Tuesday loves to send things to people that I don't even know things are happening. But those are the things that keep us together. That's what I think.
I think part of what you're talking about is building a community. And building a community around anything, like we build communities around boutique shops, but we build them around colleges, we build them around work. Like if you make enough creative work, there's a body of something that we can be creative around. You can also build a bonfire and burn it all down and make a community around that. So we need more creativity. Yeah.
Laureen, what has been your most challenging experience as an author?
My most challenging? I think overall, it has been writing Black stuff for all these years. It just, when you write Black stuff, and I'll tell you, when I wrote Price of a Child, it was a book about slavery, and everybody said, wow, good for you. And, white people would come and say, ooh, thank you, that's very interesting. I'm very glad, that's really good to know. And they were gone. You didn't buy anything. Like, you could buy the book. No, they wanted to go in the mall. And Black people would come over and say, sister, I'm so glad you're writing that. God bless you for writing that. Then they'd leave. Like, ain't nobody trying to hear it. We don't want to hear. So yes, we have these waves of time where we're supposed to be waking up, and then America claws it back. I mean, claws it back horribly, right? So that's been a lot. That's overall, that's been my issue. I was talking to Signe the other day. Signe, who I love that we were doing Vote That John, and we're getting 18-year-olds out. And you go to the city hall to see kids doing work on gun violence, protest. And who do I see over there with a piece of brown paper? But Signe's making this perfectly exquisite drawing that captures the feeling of all these young people right there, right? Like, you do that work, and it's sometimes there's a place for it, and sometimes people are not trying to hear it, or they sort of want to hear it, but they sort of don't want to hear it.
You feel like we're in a time now where people want to hear it?
I don't know. I think people say they want to hear it. I don't know how long it will last. When I was growing up, I grew into a world that I thought was going to change. And then we had Morning in America, and it was all gone. Like, whew. So I don't know. I hope so.
Joan, what about you? What's been your biggest challenge as a fashion entrepreneur?
It's not the fashion part of it. It's I think it's maybe they give lessons in college how to be a boss and how to say this is okay and this isn't okay. But trial and error takes a lot, and it's not always on the winning side. But I read a lot of things and how to deal with people you work with. For the most part, we're all a family and everything. It's when we bring in a new person that has other venues that they have a feeling when they come to work, it's not open and I want to learn and I want to get better and make more money, all of that. They're ready for a fight kind of thing. So I talk nice and the girls talk. But I don't always win. But I'm hoping that the new generation, my daughter, is going to get better. And I have the advantage of my other daughter, who isn't in the business, gives really good, has a good instinct about people and things, and she's worked in big companies, and she's also very smart. So the combination helps. And after 50 years, I should be able to be better.
I think you've done just great. I have lots of additional questions, but in the interests of time and budgeting a few minutes for questions from our audience, I will cut to the chase and ask both of you in just a couple of sentences your best advice for the aspiring writers, fashion entrepreneurs, artists who are listening to our conversation. What would be your best advice to someone who aspires to follow in your footsteps?
Don't take no for an answer. Don't take no. Don't take no. Because if you're staying in the work, just stay in the work. Follow the work. Make it better. Follow the work. Make it better. And my first book, I sent out 40. I asked 40 times about my first book, and I got back 5 replies. All of them were no. One of them was no, typed on a real typewriter, as opposed to those little pieces. They used to send these little cards. One of them had a coffee stain on it, like somebody had his coffee, and he took that and then sent it to me. I mean, you could get one without a coffee stain. That hurt my feelings. But 40, you get 5. One was from a man named Ash Green at Knopf. And he said that he had no use for this particular book, but he was interested in some of the things. And the next time I was in New York, I should call him. I almost got on the bus, but just calm down. Don't get too much of a hard on, like calm down. And then wrote, and I did. And in fact, later, when I got a proper agent, she sold properly, somebody was interested in the book, and I said to her, but Ash Green was the one. And so she said, okay. So she sent it to him. And he ended up being my first editor. Yeah. Don't take no. Yeah.
Thank you. Joan, what do you say? What's your best advice?
Love what you do. Don't settle. Because if you really love it and you get into it, you use everything to just grow and get better. There's a big difference between someone that has passion and someone is just working for a living. I mean, not a living, but just to make money, that they don't really enjoy what it is that they're doing, and you only go around once.
Great advice. Well, on that note, in our last few minutes, we have just a couple of minutes budgeted for questions from you all. So do we have a question for our honorees from anyone? And forgive me, it's hard to see in the back, but you can just raise your hand and yes.
What about challenging myself to my writing? So say it again. Genre hopping. Because I love the stories, but it's so clear that some stories cannot be told in some genres, right? Just, you can't write a book about everything. You can't write so some nonfiction, some fiction. Like, where does this go? A few years ago, I went to New York for a year as part of American Lyric Theater to learn how to write librettos. That I've loved opera forever. That was my challenge. How do you learn to sew? So I went up there. I was a really old rookie, right? To get up on that bus, teach at Penn, get on the bus, go up to New York, arrive there at 7 o'clock at night, and I really was not at my best. And work on the opera, finish at 10, jump on a bus or a train, come back home, crawl into, pet the dog, crawl into bed at 12. That was a challenge. I'm going to go down to Nashville soon to do some research to work on an opera. We have a contract with Damien Jeter, who's a wonderful composer, to do a piece about the original Jubilee Singers. Because their story of building Fisk University by bringing spirituals to the US and Europe, I can't write it. The story has to sing, right? So I think for me, it's the structures. Yeah.
And I wondered, do we have any questions that have come in from our online audience? Okay, so let's take one more then. Yes, Sydney.
I think I missed some of what.
So where did you get your sense of style? She was talking about how when you started out, the style was kind of hippie casual, peasant blouses and such, and your look is very refined and sophisticated. So
years to be like that. It didn't just happen over the... It was about the business. I was more about the business and learning and doing what my mother always wore a hat, so I always wore a hat. And then I had a big hat business because I had hats in the store. Most people didn't. But I was, I would say it was from learning. I think I've changed. I'm still wearing black. That's the only thing I'm trying to change. But other than that.
So don't take no for an answer. Love what you do. Keep on learning. Keep asking questions. Keep doing the work. There you have it. Before I turn it over to Meg Johnson for some acknowledgements, please, audience, join me in thanking all of our honorees, Howardena Pindell, Lorene Cary, Joan Shepp, for sharing your insights with us and for the wonderful work that you have done and how you've inspired everyone. Thank you so much. Meg, it's all you.
Thank you, Tracy. Again, 2 years in a row, you hit it out of the park. So thank you so very much. And my two new best friends, Joan and Lorraine, thank you so much. Before we conclude this part of the program, I want to recognize all of our sponsors. This is another year that you truly surprised us. We worried about our increased financial need associated with supporting students through the pandemic and our limited ability to reach out and raise funds. And here you are, in person and Zooming along with us, and you all came through for us. You came through for our students and for their scholarships. Thanks to all of you, this evening we have raised more than $300,000 for scholarships. Woohoo! So we are applauding and acknowledging the donors that you see on the screen. And as we wrap up this part of the program, I'd like you to think to yourself, can I be more involved in helping these young artists, designers, and educators achieve their dreams? And I hope for a few of you, maybe more than a few of you, the answer is yes. We hope that you'll stay connected to more. And right now, we hope you'll enjoy dessert and more discussion in the galleries. Good night and thank you all.